Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to review one of my favorite ways to catch bass throughout the year when they're a little more pressured, and that's the Neko Rig. So stay tuned. All right guys, so one of my favorite ways to catch bass throughout the year when they want a more subtle presentation is a Neko Rig. This has been my go-to bait when the fish are highly pressured, they want a more subtle presentation. And you can get this bait into heavy cover, you can skip underneath boat docks, and it's a really good way to trigger some bites. The bait I use for my Neko Rig fishing is the Crush City Janitor. I find this is a great bait for Neko Rig fishing. And I usually throw it in a candy bug color. It's a good color. It's a mix between June bug and black and blue. The line I use for my Neko Rig fishing is Berkeley Trilene 100% fluorocarbon. I usually use the 10-pound test size just because I'm fishing some heavier cover. Sometimes I'll go up to 12 depending on the structure I'm fishing. All right, for the rod I use a Dobyns Champion XP 703 rod. This is a great rod, has good backbone and a good fast tip so you can work that bait. Now for the reel, I have a Abu Garcia Pro Max reel on here, and I have 20-pound test Berkeley X9 braid paired with the Berkeley Trilene 100% fluorocarbon leader. All right, so now I'll go over some rigging with you guys and show you how I rig my baits. All right guys, now I'm gonna show you how I set up my Neko Rig. So my Crush City Janitor, I have a size 2 VMC Neko hook with fluorocarbon weed guards. I have a size 4 VMC crossover ring and a nail weight. And the size of my nail weight really depends on the depth I'm fishing and the type of cover I'm fishing. And now to put all this together, I have the VMC crossover pliers. These pliers are really neat. They have a spot where you can store your crossover rings down here in the bottom. So how this works is you slide your number 4 VMC crossover ring onto your pliers, okay? Now you open them up, and I go tail first in through the pliers, okay? And I pull this worm out. The cool thing about the Crush City Janitor is it has a spot on the top here that's made for the crossover ring. So I just take that bait and I slide it up to where the crossover ring is, okay? And I stop it right there. And then I slide that crossover ring off the pliers. And now it's, sometimes you have to adjust it a little bit now, but now it's right in that slot made for the crossover ring. And the cool thing about the crossover ring is you can, there's 4 sets of holes on top of this crossover ring here, okay? You can either hooking it wacky or Neko. All right, so now I take my size 2 Neko hook and I go up through, okay, into the thing. So now my hook is on there. This is where people mess up. You want the hook point to be towards the tail, because when that bait is bouncing along the bottom with the weight in it, you want those fish to come over and eat it like this, and you'll get the better hookup ratios with the hook facing towards the tail. Now for the weight. So again, the weight is dependent on how deep you're fishing and the type of cover you're fishing. So you take that weight, okay, like that, and you slide it into the body. Now I like to go all the way in when I do this, and I like to bury that weight in there. Sometimes the weight will find its way out after you get a couple fish on, so I like to bury that weight right in there. So that's it guys. That's how you set up a Neko Rig. I have all my stuff organized by size hooks, the weights I use, and I have it all pretty organized here for quick access on the water. All right, that was my Neko Rig setup. I will have a list of all the items that I covered today in the description below. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, and thanks for watching.